creating transformative retail experiences with generative and conversational AI. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome with a round of applause Mr. Neil Barman, General Manager and Business Head, APAC, Kore.ai.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's a tough spot to be in when you're standing between lunch and your session. So I'll try to keep it engaging and crisp, so that we can finish it, take some learning, and then of course go and grab our lunches. All right, so talking about the future of retail and commerce in the age of Gen AI. So we all know this is. So we all thought pandemic was the experience renaissance that it brought. So we all changed the way we started interacting, we started engaging, we started shopping, we started living our life. We thought that pandemic was the next big thing. I thought it's going to be the ultimate experience driver that I would have seen in life. But right at the end of pandemic, we were introduced to the generative AI models, and by application of these models into our businesses, we are today seeing the same shift or the same drive that we are coming across the way we live, shop, and interact. So retail being an industry which thrives on experience. There is experience, and experience comes from rich data. And we just had a wonderful panel, and we heard how application of data and extraction of intelligence from the data is sculpting those experiences for us. So let me talk about what happens if the experience goes wrong. So 1 out of 3 customers would walk away if there is a bad experience. And experience is driven or given where there's a amalgamation of technology and humanized effort. So in order for the humanized effort to be there, we've seen the workforce that a retailer employs to be the front face or the engaging face with the customers. And surprisingly, 74% of customer support leaders say that they think that their executives or their frontline staffs are not enabled enough today. And that may result to not so great experience. And if that not so great experience happens, 86% of consumers usually walk away. So what are the challenges when it comes to customer experience or even employee experience? And how do we look at overcoming that? So we see digital chat and self-service, which is enabling the online sales. So the online sales drivers can be enabled. The customer support, of course, is or remains the key factor with which the customer experience can be driven. And then, of course, fulfillment, which is again, a combination of the single view of inventory and the single view of the customer segmentation that we are driving. This is then layered with the contact or the support centers that we have, where we have the voice calls landing into our contact centers or the voice calls landing into our storefronts, which can then be automated or can be made more intelligent using this technology. And the last, of course, would be the employee engagement. So when it comes to the employee engagement or the employee enablement, we all understand that to a larger extent, that is a sunken cost for any brand. We are seeing a continuous uptick in the way the warm body costs are going up, and the way it's a high churning industry when it comes to customer support. So the employee enablement or the engagement being automated can give us an enhanced result. So technologies like conversational AI is stepping in to make most of these pain points possible for us very seamlessly. So some of the adoption matrix or what we saw in news bites recently was that Indian retail industry is supposed to skyrocket to a 2 trillion by 2030, and Gen AI-powered conversational commerce is supposed to fuel business growth in India. So some of the leading industry analysts, news bodies came up with this analysis, and some of the research that came out, so highlighting a few of them, where we saw that AI-driven customer service solution is supposed to scale to an 83% for Indian customers, where the main ask was an availability of 24/7 support availability. Now, if you notice, we are leveraging technology for the whole 9 yards. We are thinking of engagement, commerce, and support being supported by technology. And what automation can do over there is to bring in flexible in-work arrangements. It can do prioritization on efficiency of the way your inventory movement is happening or your fulfillment is happening. And then, of course, the enablement being happening seamlessly. We are seeing the agent satisfaction taking shape. Now, in terms of the opportunity, how it stands today, so half of today's activities could be automated, and the research that came out talks about a ballpark of something like 2030 to 2060, where the peak is expected to be in the next 20 years from now. And Gen AI, as it's predicted, could be a close to $5 trillion usage industry by overall about 60 to 63 use cases. Now, what does Kore.ai brings onto the table? So today we are about a decade-old organization working with about 400 brands globally into different segments. We are quite industry agnostic there, holding about 17 patents in the way we have leveraged technology, both into conversation automation, which is market-facing, as well as which is employee and engagement-facing. And we are backed by blue-chip investors from Silicon Valley, including the likes of NVIDIA and FTV. And today, the automation that we are bringing in is conversational, colloquial, and of course, the linguistic barrier of bringing it across multiple languages, channels, that's something which we are automating today. Working with the brands, we have pre-built models which we leverage across industries, and whenever we have come up with an industry-specific model, we have worked with any of the industry leaders to pre-build those models. So when we have worked with automating the retail use cases, where an automation being scripted to bring in single view of customers, single view of inventory, and building a binary flow where customer touch points can flow into your enterprise applications, and that data enrichment is then again helping in targeting and hyper-personalization of the messaging to your customers. These kind of messaging has resonated well with the industry analysts. So talking about a couple of accolades over here. So we were repeatedly named as a market leader in this space by Gartner consecutively over the last 2 years, in the 3-year span that they've started benchmarking conversational platforms in their Magic Quadrant benchmarking. And this year, since Gartner is on the sidelines observing the adoption of generative AI before they put placeholders in the Magic Quadrant, we were featured by Forrester in their Wave 2024 report, where they called out in terms of current offering category, Kore.ai, again as the market leader. Now, as you see, it's quite an industry agnostic spread that we do have, but in the consumer goods section, we have been working with brands, helping them to enable their engagement and support functionality seamlessly. Of late, we have started working with brands across Asia and Latin America, where we are also engaging in seamless commerce activities happening over channels like social messaging platforms as popular as WhatsApp, WeChat, Line. So these are some of the common channels where we have also started engaging in commerce, retail commerce activities. In terms of the framework or the framework responsible for leveraging AI, so this is a highlight of how our platform looks. So if you see, we have the platform architecture, which is at the bottom, then that is layered with the data services, and the generative AI services is layered on top of that. And then we are coming up with orchestrating LLM models, where we are then infusing that into different industry-specific models, and we are offering platforms which are powering your contact centers, powering your frontline conversations. We are also augmenting search and bringing search seamlessly into devices and channels, where for your customers or for your employee base, search can be automated and the information can be made available seamlessly. And then we have built a no-code generator for AI, which is actually a model function for breaking down the LLM models that are there and breaking it into smaller models which can work into processes specific to a retail need. And this is then layered with pre-built solutions, where we have about 70% of these models pre-built for any industry, and 30% is more of an industry or a brand-specific plugin that we are doing. And this is then supporting integrations which are catering to the industries, say about it be CRM, ERP, or a CDP platform, which then transpires into a voice or a digital assistant model and can be leveraged across different messaging channels or voice channels or even the smart devices. In terms of delivering the use of AI, so what we are seeing is creating, so AI, in order for AI to do hyper-personalization, it has to sound human-like. It has to have the intelligence which is more humanized, and that is where we see AI coming into customer experience and is offering the information which it is collecting from the customer touchpoints, putting it into the enterprise applications, and then using the data from those applications to do more meaningful conversations. This can happen at an engagement level, where there is a possibility of taking an interest or doing an upsell, possibility is there, and then also bringing it into support, where AI would be able to do more meaningful conversation, leveraging from the data which is already existent in the enterprise applications. Now, here we are bringing in search as a capability which can be used across devices, used across channels, and the search mechanism today is available with your customers. So usually in a retail environment, the barrier, as we heard, is kind of shifting away. So we do not further categorize our customers as online and offline customers. So we leverage the customers from the channels or from the touch points that the customer is coming in, and then we take the engagement or the conversation forward. So there, when we are bringing in search, we are putting the power in the hand of customers to consume the information where and when they want the information to be consumed, catered to, tailored to, and personalized to their requirement. And then, of course, we are bringing in a symmetry for the data that is being collected. So the data analysis and the summarization using generative AI is what we are powering. And then the targeting or the content generation, which is happening in order to target the customers with more brand-specific and customer-specific knowledge or customer-specific interest, is being leveraged on our platform. My time's up, so I'm going to stop with this slide. This talks about the facets of our platform in terms of where we come in and how we are offering a 360-degree symmetry to adopting AI. So from pre-built apps to content extraction, embeddings, and content generation, that's a 360-degree model that we are enabling brands to harness the power of AI in order to do customer targeting. I have 10 seconds more, so if there are any questions, happy to take questions.
Yeah, thanks for the insightful session. Would you be able to elaborate more around security, compliance, and enterprise guardrails, because that is one area which is very less talked about.
All right. So today, when we are leveraging LLMs, the primary challenge that we have is we are all bound by certain regulatory and governance compliances, which we have to adhere to. So it's impeccable for any brand to control the amount of PI data that moves onto a third-party environment. At Kore, understanding this and working with brands, what we have done is we have built an orchestrator model which can actually break down the LLM and make it into smaller language models, which can then be run and applied in a hosted environment within your firewalls. So that enables you to control how much of the data, so on the data front, that controls how much of the data you're actually sending out outside your controlled environment into a third-party cloud. At the same time, it is also enabling you to control the cost, because now the choice is up to you how much of the data you would want to cache and use it for further use, or how much of the data you will use the generative AI tokens in order to kind of extract the intelligence. All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Sorry about that, sir. Because of the interest of time, we had to cut the Q&A short. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe you could, if you have any more questions, you could approach Mr. Barman during the lunch break. So it's time for us to take a quick break for lunch. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lovely buffet set up outside. Please enjoy your lunch, and we'll see you back in exactly 45 minutes. Thank you.